Hey guys, P. Dahlgren here, building the Mears Models F86. Now, something I didn't cover before, and I wanted to make sure everybody absolutely understood what you were doing here when I said about truing the fuselage was up here. And there's a lot of sanding to do in this. And I'm showing what you don't want to see and what you do want to see. Now, these parts, if you look in there, they're beveled into where they're going to be. And you want to make sure that you're blocking this, that you don't have anything sitting like this. You want to make sure that when you have all these parts sanded out, that they're actually a good clean joint. You want to get all that char and all that. So it actually, when you're done, you're looking like that, not that. That's not sanded enough. If you do it like this, you're losing a lot of the strength of your airframe. You want to body work this and use a longboard so it comes out looking, it'll focus like this, not this. You want to make sure that you have absolute deal, because this is actually going to be your fuselage strength. Now, I did it back there on that one and it wasn't all that tough. This takes a lot of time to do and do right, but you want to make sure that you're aligning parts and sanding them to where all these parts are giving you plenty of an extra edge like this. And there are some alignments and stuff like this, but anyway guys, you got to look. Grab a piece of this sheeting. When we start planking this, we'll plank it up to this point, and then we will actually, when you start setting it up, the first one will start in the middle, just like we did back there. But you want to make sure you're doing this so that you don't knock the airplane over. You want to make sure that this is run a little bit wild over the deal, because you're going to sand it to that edge. But if you look in here, you want to make sure that you're getting a good solid glue joint, and when it sits, it just sits like this. You want everything, when it comes in and it sits on the frames, they're setting in there and there's no gaps. So that's what you don't want. But you also want to make sure that you're sanding this in strokes to where it comes out. And just a second, I got the neighbor's cat trying to climb in the house. Anyway, so anyway, I'm sorry, I love animals, but not that one. It's very important that when you do these things, that you're building these so that you have really good gluing areas. It's critical. And with this slid back, which is not how it works, but anyway, when you do this, you want to make sure that you're checking it as you sand it to get these joints like this, because it's going to make it a lot easier on you if you do it that way, because you're going to be putting these planks on. And if it's in there, it's just going to hold a tremendous amount of, it's your strength. You don't want any kind of gaps in there once you're putting this in here, guys. Once you got it under one finger, if you sanded it right, guys, one finger, and this thing will stay right in place. True story. So you get this, and by the time you prep all your planks, you put this on there, you can literally hold it on with one finger. And that's when you know you did it. You done it right, is because you check it with one piece, and you go up there, and when you go to glue this thing down, guess what? You got hardly any gaps, and it's straight, and it's just, you look on both sides of that. Once you get a glue joint in there, it squirts out of there. Once you reach in there to get the rest of it, you got absolutely no chance of failure. So take your time on this step, guys. I'm working on this. I've got a couple hours in it, and I'm using 80 grit paper to knock it down, kind of file it off. and get this all done, you want to pay close attention to the shape of that nose. You don't want to alter it, but you do want to bevel this, and you want to keep these done using this as a guide. Because like I said, you want it to look like this. This, you can even cut this off if you want to. I'm going to use it as kind of a piece when I put the nose part in there. I'm going to laminate it because it is actually right. So if you come up there and you put this shark nose on here, this actually is the correct. This is actually a really good sanding guide because it comes up and out. So, and I'll show you that when I get ready to laminate that and we start cutting the nose in. It's going to start looking like an F86 here pretty quick. But I do want to make sure you understand this is not acceptable, but you've got to block this all in a sequence. And it's like I said, this is what you want these parts to look like, pretty close. That actually could use a little bit more. You don't want any gap like this. You just want to take your time and blend these joints together. Once you have all this done and you sanded this correctly, you don't want anything smaller than 6 inch. You want to come back, hit these there, and then you want to track it. I use a piece of balsa with this on there, and it works. I mean, you can literally just and hold this so that it is like that, but then you got this, you can use as an edge on that, and that'll tell you right where you need to be. So again, just take your time. This is a critical step, and it's something I didn't show that I'd done, and this makes your sheeting so much easier if you just take the time to sand all this out. And it looks pretty cool once it's done. This is the difference between a very good, strong airplane than it is. Let me just show you what happens if you don't do all this sanding, where I haven't sanded it. When you set a piece of sheeting on here, it rocks. It doesn't fit. It just, you're going to be pushing on it and pushing on it and pushing on it. Sure, you can C8 on there and do that, but guys, when it's done and it's sanded right, you can push it down. There's no gap. It just makes your life so much easier. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will show you this after I've completely sanded it. I'm not gonna sit there and bore you with all this, but we're gonna start planking from here, and I'm gonna show you the water forming method I use again on here to get. We're going to start planking this over, and we're also going to do the tunnel. So, and the tunnel is no different. You want to make sure that that's sanded out for, just because it just makes your life so much easier. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and we'll get back into the building action here. Anyway, have a great day.